as a trans non-binary person who does have dysphoria, and remember, you don't need to have gender dysphoria to be trans. We do not gatekeep on this channel. I wish that I knew some of the signs of dysphoria that I was experiencing when I was younger to kind of help me figure it out a little bit sooner than I did. So today I'm going to be talking about 5 signs that you might have non-binary dysphoria to help anyone else out there who's questioning if they're non-binary and if they're feeling gender dysphoria around that. Also, disclaimer, if you or anyone you know is struggling with gender dysphoria or questioning their gender, speaking to a therapist is a wonderful way to talk about your feelings, and this video is not a substitute for professional help in that way. Okay, now onto the video. Body dysphoria. Non-binary folks, like binary trans people, may experience dysphoria related to their physical attributes, their body, i.e. secondary sex characteristics and or primary sex characteristics. You may feel this disconnect between your gender identity and your body, which can cause significant distress and discomfort. So for me, when I was going through puberty, a lot of my distress, discomfort, dysphoria was coming from my chest, how my body fat was being distributed around my body, and overall having my body turn into what other people would perceive to be as a woman. It was extremely hard for me for years to not look in a mirror and try to somehow morph my body into what I am most comfortable being, which is gender neutral. At that time, I didn't have the word non-binary to describe that feeling, but I definitely was trying to make myself appear more gender ambiguous or not having any gender at all, which is how I personally am most comfortable. It wasn't until I started exploring my gender more, and I actually saw a TikTok that was extremely helpful for me personally about how if you're non-binary, your body is non-binary no matter how you look or what you do to it. That mindset really helped me a lot because I'm now able to look in the mirror and be like, okay, that's a non-binary person's body. Does it mean that I've magically gotten rid of all of my body dysphoria? No. I am looking into top surgery this year, hopefully, and will be starting a GoFundMe or some sort of thing, hopefully by June for that. And then possibly looking into low-dose testosterone to help me feel more comfortable in this body. But being able to remind myself that this body that I'm in isn't there to actively hurt me and is mine, and I am who I am no matter what this is, has been really helpful for me when dealing with body dysphoria. I also have to mention that every single non-binary person's body dysphoria will look completely different than another non-binary person's. For me personally, the biggest things that I have dysphoria about is my chest, my head and hand size, where fat is located on my body, my face structure, but that one isn't as bad as it used to be because I feel like depending on what I do with my face, it can look pretty ambiguous a lot of the time. My voice is also a really big one for me. It's actually one of the reasons why I have a pretty hard time editing and why I rarely go back to watch my old videos. So body dysphoria is definitely a big sign that you might have non-binary dysphoria. Discomfort with pronouns and gendered language. I know this is a big one for me outside of the physical dysphoria that I feel. Non-binary people may experience dysphoria related to gendered language and pronouns that don't necessarily align with our gender identity. Being referred to with pronouns that are aligned with one of the binary genders or terms that conflict with gender identity can cause feelings of distress and dysphoria. I know for me, the word girl is super uncomfortable because I'm not a girl or a woman, and it also feels really infantilizing to me, which is something that has been used against the non-binary community both in online spaces and in IRL spaces. And again, it's different for every single non-binary person, what makes them feel that discomfort when it comes to language. So if a non-binary person is like, hey, that made me uncomfortable, please don't use that for me, just please, for the love of God, be respectful. Not that hard to be nice to someone. Social dysphoria. So dysphoria can also arise in social situations where non-binary peeps are expected to conform to binary gender norms and roles. This may include pressure to dress or behave in a way that aligns with one of the binary genders, which can then lead to distress or alienation. To give myself as an example, I grew up in an extremely high demand gendered religion. For those of you who don't know, I grew up in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, or Mormons as everyone else literally knows them by. They believe so much in gender ideology and teach gender roles. Hell, they even teach that your soul has a gender, and I'm just like, bruh, no, that's not how that works. But I can remember feeling social dysphoria from a very young age by being so heavily pressured into being a gender that I'm just not. And I actually want to clear something up a little bit. I know there is this hate video about me where I speak a little bit more on this, and the creator of this video goes on to say that I am very misogynistic in my views of girlhood and womanhood, and that's the only reason I decided to be non-binary. And first off, I just want to say, no matter what I was born as, I literally know in my heart of hearts that I would always be some kind of non-binary. And second, yeah, no shit, Sherlock. The church is heavily misogynistic. Their views of women are archaic. And you don't think some of that shit got into my head being an impressionable person and not leaving until I was like 19? Of course I looked at womanhood from a very conservative, traditional space. But no matter how I looked at it or tried to fit myself into it, even while unlearning all of that shit I grew up with, I'm still not a woman, and I'm not a man either, because being put into those womanly roles and norms and that kind of stuff made me uncomfortable, and it still makes me very uncomfortable. And I know I feel the same way about boyhood and manhood, because I did identify as gender fluid for about 4 years, and being seen as a man or having more of the masculinity made me uncomfortable too. AKA, I just wish people would start to understand that non-binary is a thing and would see non-binary people as their gender and just kind of leave us alone, and that would be chef's kiss. Social dysphoria is real for non-binary people. Just accept it. Misgendering and invalidation. Being misgendered and invalidated for your gender identity by others can heavily intensify feelings of dysphoria. This includes being referred to by incorrect pronouns, being told that your gender identity isn't real and you're just making it up, or facing skepticism or criticism about our experiences as non-binary people. Unfortunately, this is a big thing that happens to a lot of non-binary people, both in online spaces and IRL, by friends, family, coworkers, acquaintances, classmates, teachers. And it's a big reason why there's such a mental health problem within the non-binary community, specifically our non-binary youth. And there are people out there that will kind of say, oh, it shouldn't really matter. If you truly know who you are, like, you're fine. Don't listen to people. And while that sentiment can be them trying to be helpful in that moment, being told negative things over and over and over again about who you are as a person does get to you eventually, whether you're non-binary or not. Being constantly misgendered and invalidated is a big cause of dysphoria for NB folks. So this is something you struggle with, but I definitely feel you. And just a reminder that you're never alone, and there are people out there who do care about you and do see you as your gender identity. Yeah. Don't listen to the people who say this kind of shit. And the last sign that you might have non-binary dysphoria is gendered spaces and activities. So this last sign is where you would experience dysphoria in gendered spaces such as restrooms, changing rooms, or some kind of social event. These spaces can feel very invalidating or even unsafe to a lot of non-binary folks. Not only does it make a lot of us feel wildly uncomfortable to be put in these kind of situations, persons, but it can also be a threat to a non-binary person's safety as well. I know I get a lot of discomfort and dysphoria when going into a restroom that is gendered. Luckily, I do live in a pretty progressive area, so a lot of the buildings and malls that are where I am have single-use bathrooms, which I'm very, very grateful for. I know for other non-binary people, it can look completely different. Different spaces can make them uncomfortable. I definitely can't imagine changing rooms being uncomfortable for non-binary people. I was homeschooled, so again, luckily didn't have to experience that, but it's definitely a dysphoria inducing experience and is very oof. Thank you all so much for watching this video. Let me know in the comments down below how you figured out you were having non-binary dysphoria. Again, this video is just a couple tips to help people out there questioning, so please be kind to everyone in the comments. And speaking of comments, be sure to give this video a like, comment, and subscribe! There's like 83% of you who watch my videos and don't subscribe. Subscribe! I'm trying to beat Ace Dad Advice to 30K on YouTube, which they don't know about, but it's a little competition, like, for myself. So if you want to see this channel do that, be sure to smash that subscribe button and turn on all notifications. Also, be sure to check out my Patreon if you want to see more videos like this. Help support this wonderful channel, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.